What the page, teacher?
The page is page 83. But before doing the activity, we are going to do a little review on the past perfect. So the past
Okay.
perfect is used. The past perfect is used when I have two events in the past and I want to say which happened first. So the past perfect is called past perfect exactly because I have two events that are already finished in the past. And I want to use one event as a reference to the other event. So, example, when I was born, the internet had already been invented. So I have here two events in the past. One event is I was born, and the other event is the internet was invented. These are the two events. Now, which event happened first? This second event here happened first, okay? The structure of the past perfect is had plus past participle and verb in the simple past. But the order is not important. The order does not influence on the meaning of the sentence. So this same sentence here, I can write inverted. So the internet had already been invented when I was born. So I wrote the same sentence and it's the same idea. The first event is still that the internet was invented. This happened before I was born. So when I was born, the internet had already been invented, or the internet had already been invented when I was born. The only difference is that in the first situation, I have to use a comma, so vírgula, and in the second situation, I don't need to use a comma. This is the past perfect. This is the structure, but it doesn't have to be in this order. So I can use this sentence here or this sentence here, okay? This is the past perfect. So in your books on page 83, we are going to do a little review on the past perfect, and then we're going to learn something a little different using the past perfect. So activity number 1 here, you need to use the verbs below to complete the sentences that follow. You need to make some changes to them. We have here a list of verbs that you're going to use, and pay attention because you're going to use the verb to be 3 times. I'm going to do number 1 as an example. I had been teaching. So we have here teach. We're going to add ing to this teaching here. I had been teaching private classes for a couple of years when it became clear to me that my method was very inefficient. So you are going to try to complete the other sentences with the correct forms of the verb. Pay attention because in number 1, I used ing and I used here the verb in the past. But not all the situations will be the same. In some situations, you will use past participle, okay? So in some situations, you're going to use past participle, and in other situations, verb in the ing. Try to pay attention and try to identify which situation you're going to use in each of the sentences. So go ahead, please, and let me know when you're finished.
I'm here.
Hello, Denise. We are on page 83.
Okay.
We just started. I explained the activity and I gave them some time. All you have to do on page 83 is complete the sentences with the correct form of the verbs.
Okay.
Okay. I'll give you some time and you let me know when you finish. Gente, minha internet está com umas instabilidades aqui. Se eu cair da ligação, da reunião, vocês fiquem online que eu volto, tá? Pelo menos até assim, uns minutos até eu avisar se eu vou conseguir voltar ou não. Eu acho que eu não vou cair não, porque eu tentei reduzir todas as outras coisas aqui, mas se acontecer, já sabe.
I finished.
Okay. And everybody else? Almost finishing?
Almost there.
Okay, give it some more minutes. This activity is a little long. Can we check?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. For this first part, I'm just going to show you here. So these are the answers. Okay, for everybody, can we move on?
Okay.
1 minute.
Okay, I'll wait.
I finished.
How about now? Done?
I done.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. For number 2, here. In each of the sentences in activity 1, there are 2 situations that took place in the past. For each sentence, underline the situation that happened or started first. Then study the parts you underlined and circle the actions that were in progress until the second action took place. For this, we need some important information. It doesn't matter. No, Luis, we cannot hear you. I didn't hear you say anything. Okay, so in the structure of the past perfect, it doesn't matter what information comes first. So like I said, I can use this order or I can use this order. And this information here is still the first thing that happened. So the important information that we have is always the sentence that has had and the verb in the past participle is the sentence. Yes, Luis, maybe your Zoom is bugado. Is the sentence that has the first situation. So the first situation always comes in the structure of the past perfect. Let me clear this to give you some more examples. So when I moved to Brazil, I had already learned Portuguese. Or I had finished my English course when I started university. So I have 2 situations. When I moved to Brazil, I had already learned Portuguese. I had finished my English course when I started university. So always the situation with the present, the past perfect, which is had, and the verb in the participle is always the first event. So this is event number 1 and this is event number 2. This situation happened first and this situation happened second. In the second sentence, I had finished my English course when I started university. Had, finished, so had plus verb in the past participle. This is event number 1 and this is event number 2. This situation happened first and this situation happened second, okay? So this is something that you need to know to answer this activity. Because in situation number 1, I had been teaching private classes for a couple of years when it became clear to me that my method was very inefficient. What situation happened first? I had been teaching private classes for a couple of years. This is the situation that happened first. I had been teaching private classes for a couple of years. In number 2, what situation happened first?
I had already.
Yes. So I had already reached the intermediate level in my English course. Number 2 can be a little confusing because we have had here. But this had is not the head of the past perfect. It's just the normal verb. Because we know that some verbs in English are normal verbs and some verbs are auxiliary verbs. In number 3, what situation happened first?
I had not learning any English.
Exactly. Number 4.
Carlos had lived abroad for many years.
Very good. Number 5.
I had been studying.
Yes, I had been studying for it for 6 months. Number 6.
I had been waiting.
Yes. Number 7.
I had never been abroad before.
Yes, I had never been abroad before. And then we have to circle. Let me see here, just a moment. We have to circle, number 2, circle the actions that were in progress until the second action took place. For this part, we are not going to use all the sentences, only the sentences with the verbs in the ing. So what actions were in progress before the other actions started? This happened first, we know, but the action that was in progress was teaching. I had been teaching. This is what was in progress. In number 2, we don't have, because we don't have any verbs with the ing. In number 3, we don't have. In number 4, Carlos, we have a verb here with the ing, but this is not the action that was in progress. This is the action that happened after. So we're not going to circle this one. In number 5, I had been studying for it for 6 months non-stop. So in this one is the verb studying. This situation was in progress. In number 6, I had been waiting, situation, waiting. And number 7, we don't have, okay? So these are the sentences that you need to underline. And these 3 words, teaching, studying, and waiting, are the words that you need to circle. Now, why are not all of them circled? Because we have in these sentences 2 examples of statements. We have the past perfect, which is had plus past participle, and we have the past perfect progressive, which is had been plus ing verb. What's the difference? In the past perfect, we have 2 situations that were finished, completely finished in the past. And in the past perfect progressive, we have 1 situation that was in progress when another situation started, but both situations are already in the past and both situations are already finished. I'm going to write here some examples. Let me write here my board. Oh, okay. I'm going to repeat these examples here, but using the past perfect progressive. When I moved to Brazil, I had already learned English. So when I moved to Brazil, I had been learning English. So when I moved to Brazil, I was in the progress of learning English. This is what I was doing. I was learning English and then I moved to Brazil. So in the middle of learning English, before I finished learning English, learning Portuguese. I was using the wrong example. When I was in the middle of learning Portuguese, I moved to Brazil. But these 2 situations are already finished, okay? Let me see if I can use the other example as well. Yes, I can use this example as well. So I had been finishing my English course when I started university. So I was almost finishing, I was almost done with my English course when I started university. The first situation was in progress when I started doing the second situation. This is the definition of the past perfect progressive. So let's go back to the sentences one more time. We're going to read them together now because we didn't read them together. And then we're going to identify which situations are past perfect and which situations are past perfect progressive. Can you read number 1, please, Mateus Moreira?
Okay. I had been teaching private class for a couple of years when I became clear to me that my method, I don't know, was very
Inefficient.
inefficient.
Yes. So this is, of course, the past perfect progressive. Number 2, can you read, please, Mateus Naubrich?
Okay. When I had my first chance to speak with somebody from another country, I had already researched the intermediate
level in my English course.
Okay, this is the past perfect. Number 3, Valerie.
I hadn't learned any English before I moved into US.
Okay, so what is this, everybody? Past perfect or past perfect progressive?
Past perfect.
Past perfect. Number 4, Matheus Diniz.
Carlos had lived abroad for many years before returning to this country to help with the family business.
Okay, past perfect or past perfect progressive, everybody?
Progressive? Okay.
No, this one is
Perfect.
past perfect. This returning here, this returning, to be past perfect progressive, this word with the ing had to be on the first sentence, okay?
Okay.
If it's in the second sentence, it doesn't count. Number 5, I think Luis's microphone is not working, so I'm going to read number 5. I was exhausted after my proficiency examination. I had been studying for it for 6 months non-stop. Perfect or perfect progressive?
Perfect progress.
Yes. 6, I had been waiting for hours when someone finally came to talk to me. Perfect or perfect progressive? Progressive, yes. 7,
Progressive.
spending those 2 weeks in London was a life-changing experience for me, especially because I had never been abroad before. Of course, past perfect. So this is it, past perfect and past perfect progressive. And now, I don't think we will have time to finish the activity, but I will explain, and if you want, you can finish at home. On part 4, we have a timeline with years, so 2008, 2009, 2010, and blah, 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 until 2008. So we have a timeline of 10 years. And on the next page, on page 84, we have 10 sentences. And the numbers of the sentences are related to the years. So for example, number 1, Walter studied English. And number 2, Walter went abroad for the first time. If we go back to the timeline, here, this is number 1. Number 1 started in 2008 and ended in 2013. And number 2 is here. Number 2 started in 2009 and ended in 2010. What you need to do is you need to analyze these situations in the timeline. So pay attention to when the situations happened in the timeline. And then you need to complete these sentences here according to the situations, okay? So, for example, I'm going to do number 1 with you guys so that you understand. How are the events 1 and 2 related? 1, Walter studied English. 2, Walter went abroad for the first time. Walter studied English from 2008 to 2013. Walter went abroad, so he traveled abroad in 2009. We need to relate those 2 events. The sentence is this one. So, Walter had been studying English for over a year when he went abroad. Okay? So, Walter had been studying English. This is the situation that was in progress for over a year, so for more than a year, when he went abroad. So let's go back here and see if the situation is correct. So he started studying English here. And so when he traveled abroad, he had already been studying English for more than a year. Then he went abroad and then the situation continued. Okay, so that's number 1. Do you have any questions?
No.
No.
No? It's a little confusing and maybe you need a little time to find the situations and then read the sentences and write the correct sentences, but I think you can do it. Since this activity is really long and a little complicated, I'm going to leave this activity as homework. So we're going to finish the class right now. I'm going to end here. We still have 5 minutes, but we're going to finish the class right now. And on Wednesday, I will try to remember to send you a message on the afternoon so that you can remember to finish this activity before the class. And if you don't finish, we can do it in the class. But so then when we start our class on Wednesday, we can just correct the activity, because if I give you time to do it, it's 20-25 minutes, because it can be a little complicated. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so thank you very much, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Good.